How you doing, Victory Seekers? You're watching Onward with ONRIE Live, and I'm your host, ONRIE Kompen. Today, I got the most passionate man in comics here in the studio with me. Everybody, please welcome Michael Watson. What's up, brother? How you doing today?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Doing great, brother. Well, you owned your title. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, and they'll see for themselves why you are the most passionate man in comics. Take the floor.
All right. Well, I'm Mike Watson. I'm publisher of Short Fuse Media Group. I am the founder at Freestyle Komics, and I'm getting a scam phone call right now. I am one half of the good, the bad, and the nerdy. The most enthusiastic person in comics, and also known as the Super Mad Brother, hosting a brand new show that I just started a couple of weeks ago, where ONRIE will be on the next week, called Chat and Draw.
Awesome, dude. You truly are just all over the map. You're doing everything these days. How do you have time for all this? Like, I understand that, like, we're in this quarantine, but you're also a family man too. And how many kids you got?
I got 4.
Jesus Christ, 4 fucking kids. Gosh, how the hell do you do it? And you're recording, you're drawing, you're working on how many books right now outside of your own books?
Oh, that's funny. That's just the meeting I was in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books we're working on right now.
7 books you're working on right now. Mm-hmm. And how many of them are you self-publishing?
I'm self-publishing all the books.
But you're self-publishing all the books. Okay.
I write Hot Shot. I just started writing that with issue number 9, and I've been the ongoing artist. I'm very heavily involved in the story for each one of the books, as all the books are connected in one universe. And I write Emerald Quest, which we are coloring the 3rd issue right now. The 2nd issue is done. Our editor-in-chief, Danny Cooper, he took over the writing for Heroes International, so he's writing up the script for that. He's on issue 4 and 5 to close out that arc. Vigilance, we have Stephanie Menard writing that, and she is killing it with issue 4. So we're actually going to be picking up a new artist on that book. Our source book, which we just released last year, I'm actually trying to figure out our source book is kind of like our own little behind the scenes of what the characters are. So we dress it up like a secret agent file for each one of the characters in our world, and we put that as a source book. So I was kind of like figuring out which characters will be in issue 2 and issue 3. And the one that we've been waiting for a while to come out and, building it up is Zero Event, which is written by Victor Dandridge and drawn by Mike Lancet, which is going to tell the story before Hot Shot came into the world, and we get Hot Shot, Heroes International, Vigilance, and all that stuff. But what happened previously before that with the heroes and stuff that existed before then. So really looking forward to that. That's getting colored right now, and then they need some letters. Hot Shot, I am penciling issue number 10, doing the layouts for issue 11, and 12 and 13 is already written for that book.
So there's no way you have another full-time job outside of this. This is your grind.
I have a part-time gig where I teach kids.
Okay, well, teaching is different because you're still in the process of creating, and you're passing on your knowledge to others. I mean, I think that's kind of like our responsibility in a way. Like, we have to pass on at some point. I mean, that's the way I kind of see what I'm doing with my show, and I'd like to say the same thing you're doing on your show. I mean, why are we bringing creators? Why are we doing this right now? It's so that we can learn from each other, and it's also so that we can hope that 1 or 2 of our fans are listening and that they'll support your work. Because God only knows they don't have anything else to buy from me these days. it'll be next Shrove Tuesday before the next issue of Eastern Shin comes out. And speaking of Eastern Shin, I wanted to mention something. So I noticed as I was going through your bio that you and I have a mutual contact who is a very good friend of mine and yours too, someone you've collaborated with, Alvern Ball. Yes. And the reason why I knew it is because the moment you mentioned the book that you worked on with him, ZULU, I was like, oh, Alvern, And the thing about ZULU is I've known Alvern for a long time. I've known him since 2003, and he has always been really stoked about putting out that book. He's always stoked about all the projects he has going on. But another thing that's really interesting is you've collaborated with the colorist on Yisun Shin with ZULU. So do you have any experiences of what it was like seeing Adriana color your work and thoughts? I mean, just curious to see if they differ from my own.
It was actually pretty easy from what I remember. No complications. As like I've worked with a lot of different people and whatnot, so I know the name is familiar. I have to actually like go digging back in my books to figure out what book was colored by the person. But I distinctly remember Alvin because I still work with Alvin on stuff, and ZULU was a big part of my life, still is or whatnot, because that's like a 4-issue miniseries that he's working on, and I think I want to say it was like my third or fourth big comic book gig, because like I think it's like 32 pages that first issue.
Yeah. It's just that's no easy feat getting that and it's like you finish that 32 pages, it's like, oh, now you got to do another 32 pages.
Yeah, it was very intimidating, but the story that Alvin wrote with these characters, I really wanted to get it out there, and I liked the angles that he was coming from with it. Plus, I love that it was just like a modern kid who was just hanging out, who was like, trying to exist, and goes on this adventure to Africa with his father. And I always joked around and said, yeah, I'm gonna draw this book because that's as close as I'm gonna come to Africa. They got animals over there, like lions, super dangerous, super hot. I'm not for that life. I don't even want to go walking in a park. Me and my wife and my kids have been walking in the park the last 2 or 3 weeks on Mondays, and every time they're walking, I'm scanning the tree line like, what the fuck is out here, man?
I was going to say you don't have to go to Georgia, or sorry, you don't have to go to Africa. Just go to Georgia, especially right now, man. It's you get everything. America offers you everything,
Yeah. So, but I'm also, I have a vivid imagination, so I'm always kind of daydreaming some adventure, and it gets carried away because I'm always like, is there a loose tiger out here that the world has not known about yet? We've been hiding in this Columbus, Ohio park all this time.
So here's something I'm curious to know. What does your day-to-day life look like right now, in particular, with everything that's going on? Because you're busy as ever. I honestly, every day I see you're up to something. So how have you been managing this? And, take us through a day in the life right now.
I've been actually managing it pretty good up until this day.
So I asked the question on the perfect moment. See, I'm good. I'm on all the time. You're on.
Yeah, like Sean Mack, he is the operations director for Short Fuse Media Group, and so I was sending out calendar invites for my show Chat and Draw, because we've been getting a lot of people on that show. So I decided, all right, I've been fighting a calendar for years. I've been fighting it. I just don't want to do it. So finally I roll over, I give in, I'm sending out calendar invites, and I'm talking to Sean one day, and he's like, yeah, man, you're not the guy that you were when I first met you. You were super disorganized, and now you're sending out calendar updates. I'm getting CC'd on emails.
Dude, I thought I would get organized right now, and my desk is a fucking mess all the goddamn time. Because here's what's happening now. I'm buying all the books from all the creators that are coming on the show, just to because I'm interested. I talk to people, and I got your books. I'm still waiting on them to arrive. But, I meet creators, I talk to them, I want to support their mission and everything, and I genuinely want to get engaged with their work. So I got these big piles of books, and then I got like bills I gotta pay, and then I got like other shit I gotta organize, and like it's just a never-ending thing. So okay, you gotta organize, but you're also a family man outside of this too. So like how do you manage all that too?
Terribly. But what we end up doing is my wife will gut check me when I'm spending too much time in the studio. But my studio right now, actually give you guys a whip around.
Yeah, curious to see it.
Here is my my computer station. There's my drawing desk. My wife's desk is right there. And then that's the TV. So we got that hooked up with Roku and Netflix and stuff. And my kid's desk, I got 2 of them over there. And we have a kind of a couch right here in the front, which my wife is on right now. So we kind of like turned this into a big work family room, so everybody had some space. So I'm in here a lot. So we'll watch Netflix, we'll watch Roku, we'll watch Funimation and stuff while I'm drawing or doing stuff on the work. And my wife works from home, so that computer station's over there for her or whatnot. We hang out downstairs, and I can take my iPad on a table, and while we're watching movies downstairs, I can draw iPad, and we like to play games. We love watching anime and movies together and stuff like that. So you cut corners, you put stuff together, you merge and move things around and make things happen.
No, it sounds like you're not doing the parenting thing terribly at all. You're leading by example, and I think that's an important aspect of what's going on right now. And it's hard to manage everything, and especially like I don't think it's much different when we're traveling either. Because how many shows do you do a year?
Normally, I do about 18 to 20 comic book conventions a year.
Yeah, same here. You're right there with me. Yeah, so 18 to 20 shows. That's no easy grind. I mean, you're leaving pretty much like 2 to 3 times a month. And you're leaving your kids alone, your wife alone to go and venture out and do what you got to do. And that's also, I mean, it's great getting out and getting that space and being able to focus just on work. But I can't imagine like, the stress that's waiting for you when you come back home. I'm like always like waiting in anticipation, but you got 4 kids. So it's like, geez. Okay. So, I had Richard Rivera yesterday on the show, and he had a really interesting theory about how we could bring conventions back and maybe possibly see them even as early as this year. I don't know if it's possible, but here's what he was thinking. He was thinking if you let people in at you don't give people full day passes, you give them like passes for set durations of time. Like say the first pass is like from like 9 to 12, and then like the next one is like from 2 to 5, and then the last one's like from 7 to 9. And you don't overflow the convention center, so you're meeting like those requirements of like capacity. And obviously we'd all be wearing masks, and we'd have an hour in between so that, the staff can come in and kind of clean up and, replenish, soap and towels and whatever else the bathrooms need. And you'd also kind of circulate people. So, there's no reason for anybody to stay on the floor all day anyway. Most people get tired and they go at certain points. But I really, really like this idea. And I was like, it'd be really cool if they could implement that. How do you feel about that personally?
I think that's a pretty sound idea. Of course, everything sounds good in theory. Sounds like it's a lot of work, especially if you're talking about having cleaning crews come back behind each person after each shift or whatnot, cleaning up, refilling and stuff like that. God dang it, send the email. Trying to multitask.
No worries.
But then the salesman in me, the promoter guy in me, is thinking at the same time that if you did do it this way to get them going this year, and people are coming to the show, those people are hungry. They've been very, very hungry to get out to a comic book convention, and they're gonna. You would think that they would have money to spend, that they want to spend on stuff. So that would get people on a clock to where they say, well, I got to make sure I check everything before I go.
Before my time is up.
Right.
Because
so
they're letting in the next crew.
Let me hit all the tables and see what's going on. Let me do my first go around and come back around. I think that would create more of the buyer, the more in demand buyer, whatnot in that situation. And that would kind of give me, like, I'm just seeing in my head right now, like, once I get people at my table, boom, it's on. It's on.
Absolutely.
If we're putting people, if they're waiting for times to come in, then yeah, I can still do the thing that I love to do, which is the hype line. And I'm sure everybody would be certain, spread apart or whatnot. But that would give me, it's not like I got to rush in and try to get every single person. That allows me to pace myself. Like, all right, I get to focus on this crowd. So let's say that's 100 people or whatnot. Boom, I shoot my shot. If I don't get anything with that 100 people,
I got the next crew.
I got the next crew.
And it still goes on for the same duration, and here's why I'm for it. I'm for it for a couple of reasons. I'm for it because right now you see big grocery stores, they're hitting capacities that are way beyond what we may even see at some conventions, not necessarily San Diego or New York, where it's just like fucking packed and you can't even like squeeze a fart in between the crowd. But like, you know, your typical shows like say Heroes Con or Baltimore Con, where it's just not fucking slammed, you know, it's like you got some breathing room in between you and other people. I mean, there might be lines, but fuck, man, there's lines everywhere right now. There's lines and lines, you know.
It is. There are lines everywhere. I went on one of the runs. I needed to go to Home Depot and I needed to go to Walmart, and there was another store I needed to go to, whatever. But I go to Home Depot. I'm like, no, I need to go to the post office. I need to ship off some stuff. And I go to freaking Home Depot, and the line's out the door. And I was like, is this to get in? It's like, yeah, they lost their counter thing, so they're only letting like 10 people in at a time. I'm like, oh my god,
oh my god. That's ridiculous.
I was like, all right, so I'll go to the post office and come back here. So I go to the post office. Post office had a super long line. I was like, how many of y'all got to mail stuff?
Oh, right now, everybody's mailing everything because every small business is still, they're doing what we're doing, man. You know, and if you get a sale, like today, I got an order from the Philippines. You know, dude wants 2 graphic novels from me. I'm not going to make him wait because he's going to have to wait another like 20 days to get his books. I'm getting that shit out ASAP. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. But like, you know, think about any other business outside of comics. You know, it's like they can't operate any other way. They have to ship out stuff. And what's the cheapest way to ship stuff? It's the U.S. Post Office. So I think because of what we're going through, and it's even more of a reason why I'd like to see stuff kind of open up sooner, because we got post office people delivering shit every fucking day. Everything. They're delivering everywhere and they're touching stuff and other people are touching stuff. So every package you get has been touched by like 500 people. And, you know, that kind of gets people, you know, it doesn't make much of a difference now. I mean, yeah, I get the whole social distancing thing. And I think that needs to be strictly implemented. But I also think at the same time, we need to, you know, we need to get back to work. I think, you know, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I'm sorely missing comic book conventions, but I understand everybody being cautious or whatnot. I think a lot of stuff that we've been doing online and stuff has been helping, but it definitely doesn't fill the void of being at a comic show and having about, you know, 3,000 people to talk to and pitch to in one room at a certain time or whatnot. But I'm hoping that things get together enough to where last quarter of the year we get some comic book conventions in, because I'm hurting for it. And
Me too. It's even for like I don't even care about the money. I just want to get out and engage, you know, and I feel that energy coming out of you, man. You know, it's like you fucking exude it, you know.
It's the freaking audience. I like the audience building because that's how I look at shows. I don't just look at them as the money making opportunity. Like when I go to like say Wizard World or Galaxy Con or something like that, I'm always thinking like, all right, so this is my opportunity to build my audience. This is my opportunity to add more people to it. Because even if people don't buy anything, people following somebody is free. A like is free. You know, a share from somebody is free. So let me do what I can to get these people behind me or whatnot. I also do events at GameStop. I do their video game release parties, and we had 4 scheduled this year for 4 big games.
Oh fuck! Now you got curbside. You got curbside signings now, dude.
I know it's killing me because I love doing those video game parties.
Oh, they're awesome. I used to do them too, and I used to do the midnight launches in Chicago. Yeah. Those are fucking awesome. And I just come in there. And you'd be around people who are talking video games, and you just pitch them your work. It's fucking awesome, and it just it's a nice little, you know, shot in the arm. And I love and GameStop was actually talking about distributing comics. I would like to see them revisit that, but you know, I like how you can engage with like a different audience. You know, it's like it's not necessarily like comic book readers; it's people who are into video games, and you know, that's us. You know, like we both play video games, so
yeah, they are. They were selling comics for a bit.
Were they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't like a whole rack of them. It was like, you know, a couple issues here or there, but they had comics in their shops. They had like variant covers, like rare covers or whatnot. Not rare covers, but I guess, you know, covers that were harder to find than a regular cover, a variant cover or whatnot. And it was already like put in plastic and stuff that you could purchase from them. But I don't know what happened to that.
Well, you know, if no one's pushing it, no one's going to see it, and then that's it. That's kind of like where we got to fall in when, you know, it comes to our own stuff, because we're the ones pushing this. Now, here's another question for you. I don't see us, either of us, like what we do. I don't look at us as salesmen. I look at us as showmen. But sales is an important aspect of what we do. So
people don't understand how important being
yeah.
is.
Yeah. So here's my question to you. Do you have any background sales experience, or are you coming at this purely because you're just so in love with this field and so in love with, you know, getting the experience of sharing your work with the audience?
If you want to consider working at GameStop, if you want to consider selling shoes for not Foot Locker, Foot Action, one of those shoe stores. And I used to be a bill collector for GC Services. I used to collect on defaulted student loans. So I would get cussed out like twice or three times a day being on the phone with somebody. So I have no fear about talking to anybody. So going up, pitching, doing my numbers, selling, talking about what it is that I do or whatnot, I have absolutely no fear about it. But I've always been as they say, an extroverted person or whatnot. I've been like that since college. And like I used to run around. I think the first thing that people saw me doing, like I was breakdancing for people or whatnot. But I put on for one Halloween, I got a Wolverine costume, the old yellow and blue one. But they didn't have any more in adult size. All they had was like a 14-year-old kid's costume. And back before I had all this extra weight on me, I was a small guy, so I put that on. But when I put it on and I tried to like get comfortable in it, it ripped. But like it ripped in all the right places.
You got battle ravaged.
Yeah. It was like battle marks. So I went outside and my boy Trevor at the time, he made me Wolverine claws, like the wooden ones or whatnot. And so I'm walking around this costume. Everybody's cracking up. Like, Mike, you are stupid. That is so dumb. Why do you have on a kid's costume? I was like, some fucking Wolverine, man. So we walked to the dance or whatnot, and I'm in there and I'm eating, having a good time or whatnot. And then all of a sudden, dude, I swear, like just like out of Boy Meets World or the Wonder Years, everything went in slow motion. And this dude like walked through, those what is that, confetti string or whatever? He walks through it, and like first you see his claws, and then you see the jacket, and this is right when X-Men came out.
Yeah. When
he like flung the doors open or whatnot. And Trevor, it was my best friend at the time, Trevor, dressed up as Sabretooth from the X-Men movie.
Oh, that's fucking badass.
With like all the smoke from the dance and stuff. And I just threw my plate down and I jumped at him with the claws out. And he caught me, put me on the table. And we started wrestling around on the table and we broke the table. We were slashing each other. Everybody went crazy. They were like, Wolverine and Sabretooth are fighting right now.
That's fucking badass. If that was a YouTube video, it would have millions of fucking views.
Millions.
Fuck your CGI. This is where it's at. That's awesome.
So I did stuff like that all the time. So I'm not a bashful or shy guy. So asking me to sell
come on,
book to people ain't nothing.
When you had to dish people, when you said you worked for where you were dishing out like invoices for college loans, is that it? Okay. Now, I can't imagine you would call people with as much enthusiasm as you have when you're at a convention. Like, do you just like, are you just like stare face like, ma'am, I have to serve you this invoice, like, go pay it. And then she'll like cuss you out and you're just like, okay, thanks, bye. Like,
well, that may have been how I did it at first until I got the pitch down. And then once I got comfortable with the...
so it's a pitch too.
Oh, yeah. It's a little
I'm selling you services. You're going to pay, damn it.
It's a little template that you have to do when you're first coming out. But once you're comfortable with the template, you can adjust it with your own words or whatnot. And once I was able to do that, because I got hired in as a management trainee. So I had my own team. Like after 8 months of working there, I had my own team. So whenever I got on the call, it was to handle like, an aggravated call where someone was upset or in their feelings or, cussing out one of the employees. So there was a guideline of how to talk or whatnot, but I didn't follow it.
Now, did you relate to the people that you were talking to, or did you just kind of like say, this is me, I'm doing this, this is my job, you know, here it is, and peace out.
Well, if there were people that were just like, you know, of course, everybody has their routine for getting off the phone with a bill collector or whatnot. If it was people that were just blowing me off or whatnot, and I knew they weren't going to pay, I just go through the motions. I try to reach out, and I try to be as open and genuine as I can. Like, hey, I get it. It sucks. I'm not the person that you want to talk to. You probably are hard up for the money, but let me talk to you and see if there's some options that we can do. That was the cool thing about the gig.
You had flexibility,
which they didn't like to use all the time or whatnot. But I kind of looked at it like, man, these, like, I kind of got the overall thing that, like, most people want to pay their bills. Most people want to take care of their responsibilities, but there's a lot of things that go on in life that are limiting how much they can do, and people are trying to survive.
Well, I have to just say, unlike most people, I don't like paying my bills. And I don't like working either.
Hey, I didn't say you like it.
You want to do what's right. And I think that's the right approach to it, because it's just like when you're working something that I guess can be considered as robotic, you know, like when you're working corporate and you're trying to sell a service, or you're trying to sell something that's sort of you know, a little bit more abstract, whereas, like, you know, comics, it's just like, here it is, it's in your face and it's engaging, you can open it up and there's art, and I did this is all coming from me. This is not something that comes from you, but you're still selling yourself because your approach is there. And that's the difference between a good customer service rep and someone who sucks, is like you're offering to actually help, you know, off the bat. Whereas, like, a lot of times, like, you know, I get on the phone with people and they're like, we can't help you with this matter. I'm sorry. Is there anything else we can help you with, though? You know, it's like, you know, you can tell that they're just kind of following through the motions. They're not genuine about, like, hey, let me help you resolve your issue, or at least let me kind of like try and meet you in the middle. And you can't always do that either.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to paint you a pretty picture like I made everything work for everybody. I had my asshole moments. So
no, of course. And we all do. I think we've even had it on the convention front too. I mean, like, I know I've been shitty towards some people in the past, not intentionally, but it's just like, you know, end of the day, fucking some guy who's just been kind of circling around, and he's like not going to buy the book, but he like wants to talk to me for like 20 minutes. It's like, dude, I can't talk right now, and I'm sorry, and you know, I got to focus on something else. But you know, so you have experiences like that too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I try to keep them occupied with, like, I try to like occupy them and then still kind of multitask. I don't want to be, like I said, we have our moments where we slip up. We're human at the end of the day, when everything comes down to it or whatnot. But I tried to orchestrate their departure as politely as I can.
Yeah.
I try to do it without them even realizing that it's happening or whatnot. So, like, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, and I also like to use them as the train to get more people there. So
yes,
they are
course.
talking, and we're talking about something, especially like my favorite thing to argue about at a convention is Man of Steel. So it's say
are you a fan of that movie? Or
I'm
no?
a huge fan of that movie.
Okay, so you like it and everybody else hates it, so you got a lot to talk about with it. All right.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So I try to use a conversation like that to my advantage, and I will get hyped. I will get very passionate about Man of Steel and stuff like that. And like, I may, like, if that person's still talking about it, but like, I'm kind of like, all right, I need to go. I may pull somebody else over here. Like, what do you think? Man of Steel? Yes or no? Just straight up, man. Don't even think about it. Just give it to us. And they're like, no. What? All right. Well, if you didn't like Man of Steel, then I bet you'll like this. And then I put my book in their hand. I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to do this real quick or whatnot. But if you want to come back later, we can finish talking.
Yeah, no, right on. That's the right way to do it. Yeah, it's a good handoff. One other thing I do is I try and make people understand too, like, hey, why don't you come back in like 15 minutes and things will be better then, and it'll be quieter. Like, I kind of you pick up tricks along the way, because like when you're first doing it, it's like, I mean, at least for me, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but it felt natural. Like, did it feel like that too for you when you first started doing shows?
Talking to people and trying to, you know, tell them about the book, that all felt very natural, because it's my book. I've been working on it for however many years that I've been working about it. So I'm super passionate about that book and getting it into people's hands. And I'm a big fan. So geekdom runs deep within me or whatnot. So that aspect of it seemed very, very natural and easygoing. but the part that wasn't, that, you know, we're still learning. Well, I'm still learning about, we're not, is the actual the business end of the convention, like, you know, profit versus loss, reading the room, you know, what is my table expenses going to be compared to, you know, what of my eating expenses are going to be. Like at the last show that we went to, or last one that I did go to, we looked for the cheapest place that we could find, that we could all sleep in. And then, but by looking for that place, we looked for a Kroger or something that would be right by it.
Yep.
We hit the grocery store the night we came in, packed lunches and stuff. If I really, really got hungry, I reserved myself to be able to buy one thing instead of buying all my meals out or whatnot. Went back home, cooked the food that we got from the grocery store.
Which is exhausting after you're on your feet for fucking 10 hours a day. You got to come home and, you know, prepare everything. And that sucks, you know.
You know, figuring that stuff out. And like now within the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I've jumped into paneling, you know, moderating, doing tutorials and stuff there at cons, and like trying to figure out like how to get in on that with other shows. Like I still don't know the formula for that.
Okay, hold on, but I got to ask you a question now, because like now we're stepping into some interesting waters here. So you're telling me that you're doing panels now. And we both know how effective and how important being on the floor is. I hate going to panels, and I would never moderate, because the one thing I've always noticed is whenever I leave the floor for a panel, most of the people who are in that panel who have either already bought the book or I pitched and they're not interested, it just kind of feels like, what's the point of me coming in here and talking to these people for an hour when I could be using that time to actually generate sales? How has it worked for you though? Because you don't strike me as the kind of man who would leave the floor for anything.
Oh, well, that's one of the things I had to figure out. How to, because I was doing panels. All my panels beforehand were just all indie panels. They were all like how I work on my comic books. You know, what was the process of making Hot Shot and things like that. My journey making this book. And I would get like 3 or 4 people to come to those type of panels or whatnot. Then I branched out to, all right, let me talk about promoting, how I promote at panels. And then the numbers started picking up there. Then finally, probably year and a half, year ago, I just went into, like, I would do a couple indie panels, but then I went into a mainstream panel. And the mainstream room was packed. I was like, dang, everybody here for this one. And so when I talked and, you know, I was getting people to laugh at.
What was the topic? Like, how did you get into a mainstream panel?
I think one of the first ones I did was with Victor, and we were talking about like Marvel versus DC.
Oh, okay, cool. So that obviously brings in a shit ton of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once I started talking on that panel and people were asking me questions and people were laughing at the jokes I was doing, then I would hand them one of my tickets. I would hand everybody in the crowd a ticket and say, hey, if you guys like what you see, you want to learn more about my comic books, I make this book, come to my table. I got a free item for you. That's when I get like one of my super cheap things, like a trading card or a small print or a button that I would give away just to get them at my table. And then I'd have people follow me back. And so that first time, I think I had like 15 people at my table from the panel.
Wow.
And I was like, and so I got up on the table, like I got up and I had my little boom mic, kind of like this one. And I did my whole pitch. But I was
6 feet apart. No, I'm sorry.
Right. And so I did my pitch for him, but I wasn't just talking to those people. I was talking to everybody in the aisleway. I was talking to people that could hear me all the way down the row. And people would walk past, like, oh, what's going on here? Why is this guy standing in a chair? Why is everybody listening to this guy? And so I did my whole pitch for all these people, and then I just sold a bunch of books. And I was like, that's the ticket. So I do the creative stage, panels, and I've had my own classes where I teach like how to make trading cards and stuff. And I always bring a couple books, and I always end the panel. Like I start the panels like, hey, this is my panel. I'm Mike Watson. For the first couple minutes, I'm gonna do some shameless promotion. Only difference with this promotion is I'm not ashamed. Here's a trailer for one of my comic books. Then I go into the panel and do whatever we're talking about. And then before the panel, hand everybody a ticket and say, follow me on back if you guys want to come, or you can come whenever you want to, but that ticket will be good to get you one free item. And so that's how I balance being off the floor while doing panels.
Yeah, you're basically recouping those sales, because I mean, if you think about it, the amount of transactions per hour vary. Now, what happens when you're gone from your table? Who's watching your shit?
I've been lucky with the people that have supported me. So about half the time I have somebody rolling up there with me. I got a couple cosplayers that go to shows with me, and they'll watch the table. And a couple people have picked up or been there enough to where they know the spiel and they can say it or whatnot. But there's other times where I'm there by myself, and I just put up a sign. My boy Andy Shaggy, he upgraded me, so I got a sign where I can put my whatever my panel is, the room and the time it is, so I can set that out and tell people they can come right up there if they really want to get something. But I can come back to them or whatnot.
Okay, right on. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's interesting. I think I might consider doing more panels in the future. I've always kind of been skeptical about it because the few shows that I have done where I've gone over there, it's like I come back to my table and I'm like, fuck, I could have been selling for the last hour. And I think also another thing too is I have to find the right approach to it, because I think what seems to have really worked for you was you got into something that could segue very easily into what you're selling with like your book, and that of course takes ingenuity. You can't just like come in there and have something like that's completely unrelated to what you're there to talk about and try and promote your work that way. So that's really cool. And Victor, the hardest working man in comics, I got the most passionate man in comics, and then pretty soon I'm going to have the hardest working man in comics on the show. He's coming on next week, as a matter of fact. Victor, the first time I met Victor, we were tabling next to each other at Phoenix Comic Con. It was 2014. And Victor's energy was just immense. It was amazing. And he was selling these 8-bit stickers at the time. And I know he's done a tremendous amount of things since that time. I mean, the way Victor basically shot up from there, and he was already on the circuit just like me, but he just exploded after this point. You guys seem to both have this real like fandom is like your job has become a job for you because of the fact that you love it so much. You guys have found ways to like turn an hour-long conversation about a fight between Superman and Hulk into something into another margin of sales. And that's something that I'm very, very intrigued by. Because I wouldn't think that. How am I going to bring a conversation about Superman and Hulk and find a way to divert it to Yi Sun Shin and what I'm doing with my book? It's something that I still have yet to think of or to kind of experiment with. So I think that's really cool that you've found that way and you've learned how to exploit it.
Thank you. Victor and I, we do that a lot. And it probably goes back to, I learned a lot from watching Victor, because once he started getting into panels, he got picked up very quickly to moderate stuff. And I kept looking at what he was doing. I was like, man, I want to get in on some of that, because I saw that he was developing an audience from being on these panels, from moderating, from being on the panels. And he just had people following him around to his table and picking up his stuff. And just like, these people would come out to eat with us when we're at conventions. I'm like, who the hell is this? And he's like, oh yeah, this is such and such, da 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 da. But like, and then I come to find out, like, they go to all his panels because they enjoy listening to him talk about the things that he talks about, and he has good points. And then that converts people over to, well, like, if I like what you're saying about DC and Image and Marvel Comics, you might know what you're doing. So you make something too. How can I support you? Because like at that point, they may not even know that he makes like they may not even be paying attention to that aspect of it, but they like him as an individual.
Yeah, like the majority of people who are there, they're there for the conversation. They're not there to support, independent comic books. They don't fucking even know that Victor is a comic book creator.
Right.
But Victor, it's up to you guys to find a way to segue the conversation, which is, obviously you do it. You hit him right off the bat, which I think is excellent. Like you're like the Israeli Defense Forces attack before they can strike you first, And I think that's the right approach. I mean, that's certainly something that I should be looking into as well. Like as we transition over, and that's something that I have to say that like I'm learning so much from all of this right now, because I just don't. I'm always in my world. Like when I come to conventions, it's my objective is to sell out of everything I bring. I'm on the floor from the beginning till the end. I take maybe one bathroom break not one bathroom break, maybe like a couple bathroom breaks but I don't. Otherwise, I do not leave my table. I don't have anybody to man it most of the time, and I just don't want to miss that opportunity. Like I've had days where like I'd be late to a show by like 2 hours. Here's a story for you. So 2013 Wizard World Chicago. The show started at noon, and I locked myself out of my house, and I had all my shit inside, and there was no way for me to like get anything because like my wife wasn't anywhere near me. And the only person who could help me was my mom, who was about 20 minutes away. So I was like, shit. So I called up my mom. My mom couldn't come. So I had to take a cab to my mom's work to get my key, to come back home, to unlock the door, drive to my mom's work, drop off her keys, and then go to the convention center. And by the time I got there, it was like 2 hours late. Like the show, it was like 2 o'clock by the time I got all this shit done because of traffic and everything, you know?
Yeah.
And there was like 10 people over there. And then my neighbors were like, yeah, dude, like a bunch of people came by. And then the rest of the day was like fucking dead. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I left at the end of the day and I'm like, God damn it. You know, like, I don't know who I could have missed, but like, if they're telling me that there were a bunch of people, how would I have known I wasn't there? Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, that's why I'm always kind of like skeptical, particularly about panels, because it's just like it's pulling me off from, you know, that engagement. You know what I mean? But this sounds like something on a whole new level. This is true showmanship, I would say.
I appreciate it, man. I think if you started getting into panels and stuff, that'll open up a whole new world for you. Because like there's different avenues with paneling thing that kind of takes the relief off of having to be at your table. Like that would make you more rest assured to where you're like, all right, yeah, so it's a worthwhile venture because like I'm getting this and this and that to accommodate this and that. But it depends on the show. So like I haven't figured it out. Excuse me, for all of them. It's honestly it's like while you or I or Vic or Danny or Sean or Ren or Stephanie or anybody out here who is selling comic books and have the gift of gab can do a panel. Every convention show is different. It's how do you figure out to get in? Like for a while, I just didn't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask either. That is my biggest problem. I do not know how to ask because I don't want to. Who wants to ask? No one wants to ask for shit, you know? Right.
Just to be shut down again, you know?
For them to say, yeah, no, we don't do that. I don't know who you are. But at a certain time, I just said, fuck it. Like somebody's going to say yes, somebody's going to say no. So I won't know what to say if I don't start emailing out and requesting this or saying like, hey, my name's Mike Watson. I've done this, and that. And I would love to bring paneling to your show. Like, what do you offer to accommodate for that? I'd be willing to do comp table, potential gas for travel or something like that. What do you guys offer? And to that length of just, sending out that email or whatnot. And I got a lot of no's, like, oh, we don't do that, But I got some yeses. I got a couple yeses. And this year, I scored like 3 yeses at shows.
Oh,
like
man.
One show that was huge that I went to last year.
Which one?
BlurredCon, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's in New York, right?
No, that's in Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So
and,
is that a big show? I've never done BlurredCon before.
It's a big, small show.
Okay, I gotcha.
And it was the best show I did last year. So being able to have this talk and like it wasn't even all the way yes. I got the yes to where they were willing to talk, to say, hey, well, what do you bring to the table? And then we could tell you what we bring to the table. So I got the open invitation to have a conversation, but the show got canceled this year. So everything as far as what they said, like we're just moving, everything's cool. We're just moving the show to next year. But I was really looking forward to being a part to it on that level. And then there were 2 other shows that I got in on where they comped me a table. And all I have to do is go in there and do my panels. I still got to pay for my own room and board. I still got to pay for gas and
doesn't
food.
matter. It still cuts. It takes off that added expense. Yeah.
Wizard World and GalaxyCon. A lot of people look at me like, how many panels do you do for these shows? I do anywhere between 7 to 9 panels.
That's a lot, dude. That's a lot. That's like a full fucking day of selling.
It is.
So how many of them are you doing during show hours as opposed to after hours?
So GalaxyCon is the cool aspect of it because yes, they have them after hours. So I probably do about 2 of them after hours for GalaxyCon. As in Wizard World doesn't have any after hours. So I do them all during the day. But the way that I look at shows like GalaxyCon and Wizard World, they are pop culture shows. They are a bigger venue, a bigger event. That means they are drawing in more people. So I want to be able to meet those people because I want to meet those people on their grounds. Because a lot of those people, I'd say, these are just my estimates based on my experiences. So somebody else's may be different. But I'd say around 60% of those people aren't necessarily comic book fans. They're geekdom fans.
Yes.
Whether they are into TV, movies, cartoons, or they used to be in the comic books, so now they get trades. So they may not be all the way invested into it, but they got their foot in it to some extent. Well, I want to go meet those people on their level, where they're at, where they're going, then get those people to like me and then come back to my level and then get them comic books and get them artwork or whatnot. The people that are hardcore comic fans, I'm not going to say I'm not concerned with them. I know how to talk to a hardcore comic book fan. For the most part, I know what a hardcore comic book fan looks like, with little different similarities or whatnot. I know how to have a conversation with them. And either a hardcore comic book fan is simple. They're either going to buy your book or they're not. You're going to pitch your elevator pitch. They're going to pick up the book. And
you're actually buying more time and you're utilizing more time on the floor. So I'm assuming that what you're doing at these panels too is you probably got a couple books on you so that, oh man. All right. I'm just going to tell you right now, Uncle Honore wants in on that shit. After this is over, I'm not kidding. I'm very serious. If we're ever at a show together and you got in with the panel, you gotta open the door for me. All right. I promise I'll do you this favor. Okay. Here's my solid that I'm going to do for you.
Okay.
As a return. Cause I don't do stuff for free. Okay. Here's what I'm going to have you do. You get me in the door and then Ted Sakura, who owes me dinner, is now going to owe you dinner. And it's all going to work out. You get it. And Ted, he buys the best dinners.
Hey.
I could sell that shit all day. All right.
Hey, I know how Ted rolls. I'm down for that.
Yeah. And bread rolls. Sorry.
But yeah, I just assumed the next show that we're at together and I see that you're on the list or you let me know you're going to be on one of my panels.
Dude, I would love to just experience it because it's just a learning experience. You know what I mean? And yeah, I appreciate it. And of course, Ted won't be the one buying you dinner. It'll be me, but it'll be a pleasure to do it because any opportunity is great. And I have to say that, I got hit with a pretty bad depression on Friday because I miss this. I miss just being on the floor. I miss moving hundreds of units a day. I mean, I'm fiending for it right now. And it's not even because I'm, struggling financially. I don't even care about the money. I just want to get back out there and fight for my goddamn series, it's 10 years of working on this shit and it's the pause button's hit. But then on Friday, it felt like it wasn't just the pause button. It was the power was pulled. It's like you're playing fucking a really hard Nintendo game like fucking Ninja Gaiden 2 and you finally get to the last boss and then your parents come in and fucking turn off the Nintendo. It's like that's how I felt on Friday. Not saying that that's how it is right now.
Right.
But I'm missing this. But at the same time, talking to you, the one thing that I realize why this period is so important right now is because I'm learning right now from you. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have time to. It wouldn't even occur to me, not because I would intentionally ignore you or anything like that, but we're just so busy living our lives.
Yeah,
I mean, I only got 2 kids, but man, I bet you they're just as much work as your 4.
I teach classes for kids, so there is no doubt.
How old?
From kindergarten to high school, I've done all types of classes, all ranges.
Jeez, and you have to kindergarten though. I mean, that's got to be hard to engage them with making comics in the day when they could be playing Minecraft or whatever,
Well, they're not always making. So I do a couple different classes. So I have a freestyle art class where I trick them into doing traditional art. So I make up our figure drawing class is I brought my Ninja Turtles in.
Oh, okay, right on.
And I set them up with a light and stuff, and that was our figure drawing. So I described, you know, we did them instead of using one of those lame ass looking mannequins or whatnot. I use toys and action figures to get them drawn, and you know, so just fun stuff like that, watercolor and stuff. But like I try to make it an interesting project that, you know, I try to relate to them on things that they like Pokemon. I got a trading card class where we make our own Pokemon cards, which has gone from Pokemon cards to anime cards to their own characters. But then they get a set of trading cards that we also made and turned into a battle card game for them. We're up to like almost 300 cards in that set. Jesus.
Never a dull moment in your life. So how long has this been your grind again? I don't remember if I asked this question or
not. The teaching thing I've been doing.
No. I'm talking everything. Like you,
everything?
Hey, you doing this full time. You making fandom comics. This is your full time. How long has that been?
Since 2004.
Oh, okay, so you've been in it longer than I have actually, because I didn't step into it until 2010.
Okay,
yeah. So yeah, so you've been at this a very, very long while, and you've seen how was the con scene back in that time? Because it wasn't what it was prior to this pandemic either, right? I mean,
no, back then I wasn't doing a whole lot of conventions because I didn't really know about conventions. So I'd probably do 1 or 2 comic book conventions a year or whatnot, maybe 3, 4, because we did the big ones like Chicago, Philadelphia, Cleveland. So I didn't do a whole lot of comic book conventions. A lot of my work was I would do, you know, part-time work, freelancing, and stuff like that. And then my convention schedule ramped up. I saw like I need to do more conventions. I need to get out to more places again in that attempt to audience build and reach people that I haven't. I've seen, like I did, like for example, I did this piece of this YouTuber. His name is King Vader, and I did he made the Hood Naruto character up based off of Naruto and whatnot. And I drew this image and I tagged him in it, and I posted it, and he liked it and he shared it on his Twitter account. Well, I got like 500 likes on that picture. That's the most likes I've gotten on anything,
dude.
On Twitter. On anything,
dude. When that happens, it's just like, what the fuck? How do I make this happen again? And then you can never repeat it again. It fucking sucks. And you got but what's so annoying is like you get your one moment in the spotlight, but like your ass is showing and you got your back to everybody. You know what I mean? It's like that's how it always fucking feels. It's like, how about when I have something relevant to say? That's when you motherfuckers pay attention.
Well,
what the fuck?
The back door to that is that like, well, he's got millions of followers, and again, it's kind of like a numbers game. The more people that once stuff like that happened, it let me know that people like my artwork. It's just that enough people don't know about me. There's people that like it. I just got to get those people to see it to increase my audience or whatnot. And then I was like, I go to the same conventions in just surrounding Ohio. I need to get out to other places. I need to go to New York. I need to go to Texas. I need to go to New Orleans.
Right on.
I need to keep spreading out, because the biggest deficit that faces small-time publishers or self-publishers is getting out comic books. And my track record for getting out books is not perfect. I have fallen on my face. I have disappeared for 3 years. I technically, you know, just gave it up and tried to, you know, live life, and then come back.
You put your Clark Kent glasses on and like fucking
right. You know,
I'm Superman no more. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then coming back to it or whatnot, there's people out there that likes our content. They just don't know our content exists. So it takes us longer. Well, I can't talk for everybody. It takes me longer to put out books.
No, it takes me too. I think you could you could pigeonhole us all in with you.
And so what I've been trying to, you know, tell everybody under our Short Fuse label is, hey, I know how good it feels to get that next issue out. And I know it's easy for me to say where I'm at right now with, you know, 20 comic books under my belt just for FSK. And I got, you know, options for people to choose from. That's all fine and dandy, but there's still 6 billion people out here in the world that don't have your #1 issue.
Yes, and you got to change that. You got to make that a reality. Yep, you have to fix that, and it's a never-ending battle, and it's amazing. It's
get outside your circle. Go to a city and state that you've never been to. That is a whole crop of people that have never seen your #1 issue, and you know, and just keep moving and keep chucking until the right time where everything's in the right place and you can release that next issue or whatnot. That's where that's where we're at. Like maybe 2 years ago, I made some judgments and some choices that, you know, didn't get me any books out. And so I had to sit back with our current editor-in-chief, who was Danny Cooper, who got promoted about a year and a half ago to editor-in-chief. And we had to sit down and look at, all right, so what are we doing? What worked here that isn't working here? All right, let's scrap all that shit. All right, let's bring this up here. Okay, here's our layout. And then we went ahead with that plan. Well, instead of that plan completely failing, half of it failed, but the other half of it worked. Okay, that sucks, but we're doing better than what we did last time. So let's expand the half that worked and get rid of the half that didn't work. So let's what can we do here? Oh, we need to be more patient. Definitely. So let's take our time. Everything isn't a race, because I noticed when we got to shows, whenever I had new content, people bought the new content. But something that people have to understand, and again, I'm only going to speak from my shoe, from where I am, is that unless you got thousands of emails, thousands of texts, people commenting, where's the next issue of your book? Where's the next issue of Hot Shot? Your audience is small. You don't have an audience yet. Keep chucking out your number one issue. Now, when you can show me 1,000 messages of people asking for the 10th issue of the book, all right, let's get that 10th issue out, because that's 1,000 purchases, right? That's 1,000 purchases at $5. We've covered the expense of that book, because that is what's important. Can you cover the expense of another book being made without putting yourself in a hole? I love making comic books. I love putting them out there, but you got to look at everything. And to my own fault, I was not looking at everything. I got to a certain point and I thought I knew a lot of shit. I got knocked down. I got back up, got to a point like, all right, now I know some shit. Oh, no, you don't. Well, this time I fell down, but I had a rope attached. So now I can climb back up to where I was at and take that information I got. And when I got up there and stayed up there and I looked and the clouds cleared, oh, there's more to this mountain. All right, so let's go. What else can I learn? What else can we do or whatnot? It's a learning game, man. And I just had my meeting with people on my team yesterday, and with Danny and Veronica, who are heads of FSK. And we got to talking, and we're looking at the map of everything. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff in production. We got 4 books that we can literally, if we say, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on these all the way, we can drop and put out. But how is that going to affect or help our publishing house? How's that going to help FSK? How's that going to help Short Fuse if we just drop these books right now? Because I don't have a big enough audience to where we're going to sell 5,000 copies digitally or online right now by me going online and saying new books are out right now. Yeah, we'll move some, but not of anything that would be of significance and worth bringing out all those books. So absolutely. We got to pace it and we got to wait. And I'd rather sit on them, have them and develop them slowly. And then when I'm ready to unleash them, and just boom, 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 boom. And people are like, where did all this come from? Yeah, we've been slowly building all this stuff up. I don't show a lot of stuff online. Sean wants to kill me right now because I did one whole chat and draw session where I was drawing Hot Shot, the new issue. And Sean was asking me questions like, hey, he was asking me questions about the book. And I was like, oh, yeah, here, man. Here's this page. Here's this page. He was like, what are you showing me all this for? I was like, it's just the layouts, man. It's just the layouts or whatnot. But I like to show people that the book is at least in production. I kind of put myself on the spot publicly and said, hey, I'm working on 10, 11, 12, and 13 virtually all at the same time. When the new issue of Hot Shot comes out is when 10, 11, 12, and 13 are done. So you guys won't see issue 10 until the 13th issue of Hot Shot is finished. So when you get 10, and if I decide to drop all 4 of them that week, I drop all 4 of them that week. Or if I say 10 comes out in July, 11 comes out in August, 12 comes out in September, because I don't want this story arc that I'm working on, I don't want people to have to wait for it. I want people to be able to read it, take the hit, and get back to the next issue and see what's going to happen, and then be able to have that whole thing and say, dang, they just dropped 4 books back to back to back to back, exactly when they said they were going to drop them. Not to mention the other titles that we have too.
Okay, so I got a final question for you, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
Because I just gotta know. So the way I look at it is this: you never want to get too infatuated with your victories at conventions. In fact, I believe personally that it's better to forget your victories and move on to the next thing, because every convention's different. The set of circumstances are different. The flow and everything is always going to change. Mm-hmm. But there are still terms of victory. So when you go to a convention, what do you consider a successful convention as opposed to one that's not successful for you personally?
I've only had a couple shows that would be deemed not financially successful, but there were other things that I got out of that show. One show that was not successful, I only sold one comic book the entire weekend. The entire weekend.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And I can't imagine the circumstances you must have been up against in order for that to be the case. Because just seeing your energy, I know you're moving mad volume.
Yeah, so then that only happened one time or whatnot.
But I guess to be more honed in on my question, like, are you looking at what do you determine as a successful show being how much money did I make? How many units did I sell? How much of this as opposed to that I sell? What for you is the victory? Like,
I'm looking for a balance. I'm looking for a balance of audience building, increasing my reach, financials, and did I have a good time? If I had a good time at the show, chances are 90% of the people that I engaged with had a good time at the show. And at some point, they're going to remember me. As far as like, and I kind of pace this stuff so it's my own, like it's my own personal deem of success. So if I can look back on my table appearances, my panels, being at the table, you know, being on the creative stage, how much interaction did I have? Did I have people engaging with me? Did I have conversations at my table? Was I able to flip those conversations to sales or to likes and follows on my social media? I try not to worry about money the whole weekend. I do have in my head before the show, I have a dollar amount that I try to shoot for, but I don't count any of my money to like the end of the day, but like it's only just to keep track of because I have a Square account. So I
counting money is something you do in the dark when you're naked and like you're like counting bills on the bed. Yeah.
But like I can have a show where I may not necessarily make a lot of money because I'll bet you right now there's other creators that sell more than me and make more money than I do at a show. But I'm not looking just to make the money or whatnot. So it's got to be a balance of, was it a good audience building weekend? Did I cover my table? Did I cover my expenses? Because if I cover my expenses, but I only make like $200 on top of it, that's fine for me because I cover the expenses. And then I got to look at what did I get from it? How good was that panel that I got? How many people actually went back on my page and followed me? How many people engaged and interacted with me? So that kind of thing.
Okay, right on. All right. It's time now for us to part ways, but I got to tell you, every single time I talk to you, I learn a shit ton, and I am just so blown away by your enthusiasm and your passion for this industry. And I can't wait for the con scene to pick back up because I want to be in your company.
Yeah, I can't wait to hit a convention with you, man. I'm super looking forward to it.
Especially if we're neighbors. I think we're going to work really well off each other. So before we end,
Victor told me you were a machine on the sales floor, man.
Well, it's all the drugs I take, you know, it's all that crack, you know, it's just that's the routine. But anyway, I want to give you a chance. Final shout out. Tell us where we can find you. You know, tell us all the last things we need to know, and this is your moment. Take it away, my brother.
One of those things. All right. Well, you can find me as Art of Mike Watson on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Be sure to visit the shortfusemediagroup.com website for all the books that are FSK and all the brands that we have underneath us. Alignment, Heroes Ignited, and Fourth Wall Productions, which I was just working on something very nice for them, soon to be announced. Follow my YouTube channel, Dear Creative on YouTube. And the Chat and Draw Season 2 premiere is it next Tuesday on the 27th at 4 p.m. I'll be releasing the cast for that week as well. Twitter, myself, Short Fuse, FSK. Yeah. Freestyle Komics on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. I think I covered all the bases. Oh, no, Good, Bad, and the Nerdy on Facebook. I do a lot of stuff. Dang, I do a lot of stuff. And that's all of it.
That's awesome, man. Brother, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show. I'll talk to you soon, and I'm looking forward to coming on your show next week.
Yes, Honor will be on next Thursday on Chat and Draw. I'm looking forward to drawing this character and us doing some more chat and stuff.
Awesome, man. I can't wait. We're going to have a blast together. All right, my friend. All right, you take care. Take care. Oh, Sorry to cut this short, guys. I got to get going and take care of a bunch of other things right now. But this was, as every episode has been so far, just so enlightening for me. You know, I never really thought about the importance of doing panels before, but Michael has definitely given me something to think about. And his passion is just truly unrivaled. You know, just seeing how excited he was throughout this entire episode, always smiling, always, you know, ready to share his love of comics with anybody who just passes by. And I think that's a really important aspect. I think that's the difference between someone who's just simply there to sell stuff to you, as opposed to someone who's there to share an experience, give you a memory to walk away from something with. So, I look forward to being on his show again, and I look forward to tomorrow's episode. We got Rob Anderson, the true advocate, the only advocate for independent comics, coming on as a guest, and I'm going to pick his brain, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. Until then, onward to victory.